Good day, everybody. A big welcome back to my channel, and welcome for the first time you've never been here before. My name's Mike, and I run this little hobby channel where I've got different hobbies, which are reef keeping, drones, off-roading, etc., etc. All kinds of fun stuff anyway. So if you're not subscribed yet, be sure to subscribe. When I go through my analytics, I see that most of my views are non-subscribers. So I would encourage you to, so you can see some more videos. Very likely some of my videos are going to trigger you and make you angry, but that's just the fun part of YouTube anyway, right? So go ahead, get triggered, get angry, and click that subscribe button. I would like to mention this flight is in New York City, and that's the George Washington Bridge. This is not actually my flight. This was an ex-friend that ended up being a pedo, and he's on the run or dead. I'm not really sure. Anyway, haven't talked to him in a couple of years, so I still had several of his flights on my computer that he gave me to upload to YouTube. Never got around to it, and as I was searching through some old footage, I found them and thought, hey, why not use some of these for various flight vlogs? So hopefully you enjoy the flight. I'm sure many of you are going to get angry and say, it's illegal, this, that, and the other. Not even my flight, so I don't even care. That all out of the way, we are actually here to talk about drone laws. And when we talk about drone laws, it's very important to understand that I am in the Great White North, also known as Canada. So our drone laws may be the same or may be different, or, partially the same, partially different, whatever, from wherever you are. But it's important to understand that we are here in Canada as for this conversation, not for the flight, because you can see the flights in New York, but for the conversation, the purpose of it, we are in Canada. So basically, a few weeks ago, I uploaded a video with the DJI Mavic Mini climbing to 500 meters, which is roughly, 1,600 feet or something like that. Cool video, and many people seem to enjoy it, got lots of likes, lots of positive comments, and then there's a lot of people that were triggered and angry. And what are they triggered and angry about? Well, breaking the law. So now some people might wonder, well, why would you post a video that clearly shows you breaking the law? Well, simply put, because for my understanding of the law, it's not breaking the law. I have repeatedly, and I've done this for years, actually been in contact with Transport Canada um, regarding drone laws. And honestly, there's a big difference between rules, guidelines, and laws. So many people, you see a bunch of rules written down and you say, oh, well, those are the rules. I can't break that. I'm not going to jail. Or if you see someone flying in a way that doesn't follow those rules, right away you comment and you say, this is a bad flight, this is illegal, whatever. There is the difference, though. Rules and guidelines are not enforceable in a court of law. You don't go to court and get charged with, well, he broke a rule. There has to be section of the law that you broke, and it's going to have a number such as, 1.302.4, subsection 8 of the, aeronautical, whatever. Anyway, with that being said, there are laws that are for drones in Canada, and there's various stages of laws, which, with where you have to have pilot certificates and all that. But we're focusing on the sub 250 gram drone laws, which is what the DJI Mavic Mini, which is my current drone, that's what I fly. So when I repeatedly ask Transport Canada, because I'm not looking for rules, I'm looking for laws, something that actually has, the section of the law that would be broken if you violate it. So asking directly for information on the laws that say you can't go over 400 feet or out of line of sight or after dark. All they keep referring to is that micro drones under 249 grams must not fly in a way that may endanger any aircraft or person. They also stipulate that you must respect privacy laws and seek, permission to fly over private property, this, that, and the other. So, which would be no different than walking on somebody's feet. Now, even with privacy laws would come into reasonable expectation of privacy. So if you're flying, you know, 10 feet into somebody's property overlooking their backyard, yes, you're breaking their reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, You remember, this it's not cut and dry. This is something that you'd be in front of a judge for. Now, if that person had no fencing and they were sunbathing in the nude and they're wide open to the world and you're just flying like, above the sidewalk, but you can see them, but so could everybody else, they had no reasonable expectation of privacy. So, anyhow, I generally try to not encroach on people's private lives. I don't like to get close. Normally, when I'm flying, people don't even notice me flying for the most part. I try to keep a bit of a distance. And so when I uploaded a video yesterday of flying around a fire scene in Hamilton, Ontario, several of the comments were about flight safety. So they were saying that, it was a danger to fly that close to an emergency or anything like that. Well, I was definitely a few hundred feet away from the house and 150 feet up in the air. At no point did I even go over their property. Um, and also, I never interfered with any kind of first responders. I don't believe anybody that was actually there saw the drone. And if they did, nobody there could possibly, for a split second, claim that it was endangering anybody or interfering with anybody. And I say this in comparison to, there are some other videos online of people that actually flew over active fires like 30 feet off the ground, and that is a distraction to firefighters. That's a road I would not cross. I believe, and not everyone believes me on this, but I believe I fly in a fairly safe manner. I don't do anything that I feel would endanger anybody. A lot of times people think just flying a drone itself is dangerous, and this is just misinformation that's out there. People have come up with this fear, and it's not just people that are out of the hobby. There's people in the hobby too that have come up with these fears that people are getting hurt and killed all the time by these drones, but there's still not a confirmed case of a single death by one of these drones yet. And this little drone like weighs, I don't know, probably about the same of my cell phone, if not less. Like I got a Samsung S9. Um, I really wish that people would understand what they're talking about before getting all uppity up about stuff like this. If somebody flies their drone and it does damage something, it does hurt somebody, it does kill somebody, that person shall be held accountable. And that would include myself. If I ever do anything and it causes an accident, if I ever hurt anybody, I'm going to be held accountable. I have, my home insurance and stuff like that. It actually, I think that covers some things in your daily life that you do. I don't know. But anyway, ultimately, one way or another, if I ever do something that causes a problem, I will be held accountable. And at the same time, if I ever break a law and my video is used against me in a court of law, I will, if I flew the flight, I will go there and say I flew the flight and explain why and my interpretation of the law. I think it's important that people fly safely. I think it's important that people acknowledge the risks associated with flying these. However, I don't find these drones any more dangerous, and actually quite a bit less dangerous than RC aircraft. And I watch the RC aircraft crash videos on YouTube. I love them, actually. I find them quite entertaining. I feel bad for the guys that are flying them, but I do enjoy the watching it. And those things are huge. You've got some that are bigger than a pickup truck, and they're flying right over crowds, and they've got no fail safes. If they lose signal, they just crash. They fall apart in the air over people. And somehow people are okay with that. People love the videos, they get lots of likes, and people are like, oh my god, that would suck if that's my plane. And everybody's excited to watch it, not thinking that that plane actually could have killed a bunch of people. My little Mavic Mini, or even a regular Mavic or a Phantom, but potentially if it flew into somebody, I'm not going to say it wouldn't hurt. Sure, it would. But so would it hurt if I was riding my bike and ran into them, or rollerblading, or skiing, or any other a million things I could be doing in my daily life. Wow, I just made myself sound really active, and I'm not. I'm totally way lazier than that. But anyway, anything at any time could go wrong. And all the people I find that are judging my videos, I'm going to bet they don't look in the mirror and look at what they do in their daily life. If you drive over the speed limit by 1 mile an hour, a kilometer an hour, whatever, you are a lawbreaker, and you are actually endangering more people than I ever have with my drone. And that's a fact. Because how many people have been killed by speeding drivers? I'm not going to sit and Google it. You can do it yourself, but I'll guarantee you there's thousands of people every year killed by speeding drivers or people on their cell phones while they drive or drunk. And yet you get angry about a drone flying around up in the air that didn't actually hurt anybody, didn't come near anybody. It's silliness. It's this false sense of danger. And when I say false, I'm not saying there's no danger with drones. Of course there are. I think it's very irresponsible to fly near an airport, which is why I actually uploaded a video from Mexico in Playa del Carmen. I was flying around, and the video is called "My Biggest Mistake with My DJI," because I didn't realize I'm flying high up, having a great time. I didn't even realize till I got back to my resort that there was actually an airport there. And it was like the funny part of it, if there is a funny part, is that I sat there asking the police if I could fly there, and they said yes, people do it all the time. And now I guess as it turns out, it was a very pretty well inactive airport, just for small little planes. But to me, just not knowing an airport there was a danger. I actually did fly again at that location, but this time being aware that the airport was there, I, was a little more prepared to watch what I was doing and stay at a lower altitude. But as far as in Canada, I don't go out there, in my opinion, flying in an unsafe manner. Just simply flying as itself in the air is not a dangerous event. It's a lot less dangerous than speeding in your car, which I'm guilty of. I'm a speeder. It is what it is. So I'm not putting myself out there on any special pedestal. Um, I just wish that people would really think before they type as to what the danger was. So just using the 500-meter flight, what was the danger? The flight was up for what, mere seconds. We're not talking going up and flying around for an hour. We're talking straight up, do a little spin around, come right back down. 7 kilometers from the nearest airport. You know what I mean? Anything could happen at any time, of course. A stealth fighter could have snuck up on that drone and sucked it in the intake. But if you watch the guy that's got the video of taking a Mavic Mini apart, because I've watched it, I mean, if I find the video, I'll link it in the description. He takes it apart, and there's virtually, like, basically no real metal in a Mavic Mini. There's this tiny little black plate. I think it's like a very, very thin alloy or something like that. It's a heat dispensing or dispersing metal. Um, and that, like, I mean, it's nothing. It weighs less than a keychain, I'm sure. The little motors, those are like they're not even aluminum. They're like that aluminum crap. Like, it's like an aluminum-y plastic. There's no real metal in this thing. If you flew this into anything, it's just going to disintegrate on impact. And not that we need to test that out. I don't want anybody to fly one of these into an airplane. A helicopter, that's just silly. It's not going to hit a helicopter unless it dropped down from above a helicopter. It could never hit the front of a helicopter or the side, and that would simple science tells you that. Like the prop wash giving the force to lift that helicopter is crazy. That's why if a helicopter's 500 feet above you, you can feel the wind blowing down. A Mavic couldn't even try to get close to that. Never happened, not in a million years. Airplanes, of course, anything could. But if it was a prop plane, the prop would just chew that thing up in no time. There's nothing to it. Now, into a jet engine, I'm not sure, but I'll be honest with you. If jet engines cannot handle an impact of something like a DJI Mavic Mini, well, I think we need to reevaluate jet engines, because that means they are not strong enough. Because birds, like your average little bird, seagull weighs more than a Mavic Mini. Like, so, anyway. I know I'm just rambling on about this. I wish that people would relax a little bit on their sense of fear and danger with the drones. Simply flying around is not dangerous on its own. If you're flying in an unsafe way, if you're interfering with traffic or flying right above crowds, there's a guy in Toronto that flew right above the Raptors parade thing when they won, and that guy ended up getting like $1,000 fine because he was flying like a Phantom. above the crowd at night next to an airport, like, you know, a million things that he shouldn't have been doing. Cool footage, but that's not a flight I would have made. I know better. I wouldn't have done that. So I think people just need to understand I've got almost 800 kilometers of flight time behind the sticks on my DJI app, and that's not even all of them because I had changed my email to my YouTube email at one point. So before that, my first however many flights, say another 100 kilometers or whatever, were not actually even registered onto this account. So I know what I'm doing. I know how to control the drone, and I always have my fail safe height limit double check to make sure it's what I want. So that's it. I'm out of here. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll give it a like and subscribe. See you guys next time.